the discussion was going on about the data types in Java, right? Is my paint screen visible to you all guys? Now is my paint screen visible? Okay. So the discussion was going on about data types in Java, right? So try to spend considerable amount of time grasping and understanding this concept thoroughly. Then the two broad categories are primitive and non-primitive. Now, what I mean by primitive and non-primitive is the dictionary meaning I am saying. Okay, I am saying the dictionary meaning of primitive and non-primitive. So, let's say when I say tool, let's say when I say tool, okay, tool. Now, can you all tell me, or let's say farming tool. So if I say farming tool, what farming tools did the Stone Age man use? So if I go to Google and I ask farming tools used by early man, by ancient Egypt, or by early man, so it will show us these tools. Yes or no? Yes, guys. Is my screen visible? So these are called as primitive tools. What are these called as? And now if I use, if I say this, what are these? These are also farming. These are also farming, right? But these are non-primitive farming to technology. So if I say primitive lifestyle, so the lifestyle of our grandfathers, great grandfathers, they were using a primitive lifestyle. Okay, their home, their daily lifestyle, their food. Okay, their marriage, everything was, that is a primitive. So if someone now stays in a same home in his which his grandfather would stay, then we will tell you that he is following his primitive lifestyle. So those data types which are there from the era of C programming, we'll call them as what? Primitive data types, right? And we have discussed this. And one important thing you have to keep an eye on is primitive types are what type? Okay. Well, okay. Two things you're going to focus. And second is they store single value. They store what? Single value. So how many values can you store in an integer? So if I declare integer a, how many values can you store in this integer at any given point of time? At any given point of time, this will have only one value. If I do a plus plus, if I do a plus plus, then yeah. So at any given point of time, only one single value will be there, right? Okay. Then you can call them that they are normally fixed length, fixed size. Okay. And no support for Method invocation means using a primitive, you cannot call any method. Okay, so these four things, you all can document this and see what Google or Chat GPT gives you in a proper textured format. I'm just giving you all in bullet points. So reference is what type? Non-primitive is reference type can store multiple values. Can store, example of that is array. So if I have an array, how many values can I store in this array? Multiple. So if my array, one integer takes 4 bytes, what is the size of this array now? Am I audible to you all? So if one integer takes 4 bytes, how many bytes will it be needed to store this array? 12 bytes. Now, so is the length fixed or length variable? The size. Okay. And there is support for method invocation, means using this you can call some method. So if I want to check how many elements in this array? 5. So if I say integer size, I can do arr dot length. So I have, when I do a dot after the variable name. So if I take an integer a equal to 10, if I do a dot, I cannot call any method using this a. It will not allow me to call a single method. It will not permit me to call any method. But here if I give arr dot, it will give me a host of methods which I can invoke using this non-primitive. Okay, so this was one thing I wanted to highlight. And the second thing which is very important is value type and reference type. Okay, so let's try to discuss that. And let me share my screen. Is it okay? So we'll delete all these packages which are no longer need required. Okay, so yeah, recording is on. So let's make a new class, primitive data type. Primitive data type. Okay. So if I take a integer a and initialize it with 10, if I display this a, what will be the output? 10, right? So now, if you all see a movie in which the main actor of that movie, the protagonist, is jumping from one building to another. So what do you feel? That actor himself is doing the stunt, or is there a body double who does the stunt? Huh? So What do you call that as? Body double of Salman Khan. Let's see this. Now this is the chap who does all the stunts, but the camera shows that it is Salman Khan who is doing it. Okay, so it's very few actors do their own stunts. Most of the celebrities, their stunts are done by their body double, right? So this is Salman Khan, but what is the name of this person for our general knowledge? Parvez Kazi. What is his name? So are these two the same person or are they two separate individuals? At least one person be in touch with me so that I feel that I'm audible. They are two separate individuals. Okay. So if there is a stunt wherein you have to jump from one building to another building, who is actually doing that stunt? Body double. And God forbid if any injury happens during that stunt, who will get injured? Does okay, so if Parvez Kazi injures his toe, does Salman Khan also injures his toe? If Parvez Kazi is injured in that stunt, is Salman Khan also injured? No, right? So the same thing happens with value type. When I say value type, whenever I pass any value type data type, okay. So now I call a function called test, and now what did I call? What did I pass as a parameter? What have I passed as a parameter to the test function? A. A. Okay, so now we'll just discuss in only two keywords: primitive or non-primitive. What have I passed to it? I have passed primitive, and primitive of by value or by reference? Value, because they're value type. So what happens in value type? A clone, a copy of this variable is made, and that copy is passed. The original is not passed. So if this is my variable A, which is at address 1000, having the value 10, when I pass that A to a function, and that function stores it, let's say, in a variable B. Okay, so what happens is B is the body double of A. So it is not the same person, it's two different individuals. So here two different variables will look alike, will be just a duplicate, so they both will look alike. Those are watching it on screen, they cannot differentiate whether who is jumping off the building. So now a copy of that variable is passed. And now if someone goes and modifies B, does it affect A? So if I come here and I say B equal to 99, let's say, okay, let's first display the B. So if I display the B, what will be displayed? 10. Now if I come and modify B to 99 and then I again display the B, what will it display? 99. And when I go back in the function after this function gets over and I again display A, what will it display? 10, right? Because whatever modification has happened on the copy, not the original. So what would be the output of this code? 10, 10, 99, and 10, right? So that is what I mean by primitives are value type. Primitives are okay. Now the same thing we'll try to do on a non-primitive. So arrays fall under which category? Non-primitive. So now instead of taking a single, I'll take a array ARR, and now I'll have. So if you want to declare and initialize at the same time, you can do this, which you do in C program. Now, what is the value at first index? What is the what is the value at the start of the array at index 0? So when I display ARR of 0 will show me what? Okay. So this was the example to understand primitive Salman Khan and Parvez Kazi. Let's take an example to understand non-primitive also. And non-primitive are passed by value or reference? Passed by reference. And reference, what is the easier word to understand reference? Easier word is passed by address. Okay. Okay. So let's visualize that this is a village. Okay, it's some fairy tale. So this is a village, and the main lead of that story, okay, the hero, the protagonist of this drama, he is passing by that village, and he sees all the villagers are very sad and are upset and are depressed. So he goes and inquires with one person, or maybe he meets the female lead of that drama, and she tells him that this village is haunted, and there is a witch who stays far away in the jungle, and that witch has cast her spell on this village, and whenever she wishes, she comes and destroys our crops, she eats up our cattle, she drinks all the water from the well. So the villagers are very sad because of this, that the witch is troubling us. Now, as he is the main lead of that drama or the movie, now this person goes in search of the witch to kill this witch. So he passes by a jungle, and there he sees a saint who has been meditating there for the past 900 years. He is sitting over there meditating. So he sees that this noble man is passing by. So he comes and greets and wishes the saint. The saint inquires as to why are you in this jungle. He says, I am told that there is a witch who is troubling the villagers, so I am going to go and kill the witch. So this saint says that I have been sitting here for the last 900 years. Many people have come like you, but all have returned unsuccessful. Rather, the witch has killed most of them. So, but you seem to be a noble man. So I will give you one advice, that the life of that witch is in a parrot, and that parrot is, there's a mountain. In that mountain there is some cave. In that cave there is some cage made of gold, In that golden cage, there is a parrot, and it describes the parrot. If you go and kill that parrot, the witch will die. So now this hero takes a U-turn. Now instead of searching for the witch, now he goes in the search of the parrot. So this is a drama. Okay, it's a fairy tale. So they show all the struggles which he goes. So there's a river. He has to cross a river, and then in the river there are alligators, crocodiles. So it's the director is building the thrill and the suspense, and then he somehow manages to cross the river, passing all. So it's a very adventurous journey for this person. And then he goes and somehow he sees the mountain. He then climbs and he enters that cave. In this cave also, these caves are guarded by jinns. So he has to fight all the jinns, and then he sees the cage. He removes his arrow and he shoots at the parrot. Here the parrot dies, and far away in the jungle a large fire erupts, and the witch also is killed. The fire, okay, the witch is burnt in that fire. So my question is the parrot and the witch two different entities, or is it the same entity? You update one and the latter also gets updated, or killing the parrot will have no effect on the witch, or are they the same entity? Should I repeat the story in your regional language, guys? So if you have understood this, so you can say this parrot and the witch are one entity. So in your non-primitive, whenever you pass a non-primitive, it is not passed by value. Rather, the address is sent. The reference is sent. So if I have an array of size 3, okay, so the base address is the address of the first element of the array. So let the base address is 1000, and the first element of the array is 10. So 10, 20, and 30. So where is ARR pointing to? What was the code I wrote? I wrote the code as integer ARR is equal to 10, 20, 30. So ARR is pointing to 1000. Okay, so 1000. And who's that 1000? 10. So that's why when I say SOP ARR of 0 will give me 10. Now I call a test function and I pass the entire array to it. What did I pass? What am I passing to the test? Primitive or non-primitive? Non-primitive. Okay. So I'll pass the entire array now. So what am I passing? So by value or by reference? By value or by reference? Non-primitively passed as by value or by reference? By reference. So let's come here. So that ARR now goes into BRR. So now are these ARR and BRR reference pointing to the same array or to the different array? This BRR also is pointing over here, right? At 1000. So here now if I go and if I display BRR of 0, What would be the output? 10. And if I go and say BRR of 0 equal to 99, so what has modified, A or B? What has modified, ARR or BRR? BRR is modifying, right? But it will also modify ARR, correct? Because they are pointing to the same address. And now if I say BRR of 0, what should be the output over here? And when I come back and say ARR of 0, what will it display? What is ARR of, again 99? So whatever modification has happened, it has updated the original value also, correct? That is called as call by reference. Got it? Yes, no? Okay, now let's see how good you have understood it. Now if I pass ARR of 0, so what is ARR of 0? What is ARR of 0? 10. No, what is it? Primitive or non-primitive? Always answer on primitive, non-primitive. Answer in primitive or non-primitive? No, that is the incorrect answer. This is, the red is non-primitive, but inside the red, these are integers. So what are they? The 10 which we had, the 10 which we had over here is one single primitive, right? But if I collect the primitives and form a group, that group is a non-primitive. But internally it's all what? So what am I passing over here? What am I passing to the function? I am passing ARR of 0. What is ARR of 0? 10. 10 is what? Primitive or non-primitive? 10 is primitive, right? I am not passing the entire of the year. What was I passing earlier? What was I passing over here? ARR. ARR is the array. ARR is the array, which is non-primitive. But when I say, now when I say ARR of 0, now what is ARR of 0? That is 10, and 10 in its own is what? Primitive or non-primitive? Primitive. So 10 will be stored in single integer value. Yes or no? So now what will it show? BRR? Yes. Now tell me. So now what am I passing to it? Primitive or non-primitive? Primitive. So what will it display over here first? 10. Then I pass 10 to BRR. What will it display over here? Then what is being modified? So now BRR is pointing to the same, or is it in this case? Okay, let's take ZRR. Let's take, now I'm passing an integer, right? I'm passing an integer value. So I'll take it in Z, not an array. So Z is pointing to the same array location, or is Z now is a copy has been made and this has been given to Z, and Z is at a separate address because it is a primitive, and primitive always go as a copy at address 2000. Okay, and the data is 10, right? Data was 10 as we have discussed in this example. So what did I pass to it? One single integer. So Z is pointing to 1000 or Z is pointing to a new address because it is by value. It's a primitive which has been passed. If I modify the Z as 99, what modifies? The clone, the copy is modified. So now what will it display when I display Z? What will it display when I display Z? And when I come back and display error of 0, what will it display now? Error 0 remains 10. So whatever modification has happened on the primitive, right? So what will be the output of this code now? Same as the primitive code 10, 10, 99 and 10, 10, 99, 10, right? Let's run and check it. Let's run and check. Got it? So you have to make sure what parameter you are passing to the function. Depending on that, you can check whether it is by value or it is by reference. And primitive are by value. Am I understood this term? Is this understood clearly? What I mean by primitive are value type is a reference. Store single value as mentioned. One integer can store only one value. One array can store multiple values. Fixed one integer will be of 4 bytes, but if I have an array of 5 will be 20 bytes, array of 10 will be 40 bytes, array of 100 will be 4000 bytes, 400 bytes, correct? And now support for method calls. Support for method calls if I have a primitive. So A is primitive or non-primitive? A is primitive or non-primitive? So if I do A dot, does it give me any list of functions I can call? No. String is primitive or non-primitive? String is string is non-primitive. Okay. String is non-primitive. So if I make a string, so this is primitive or non-primitive? This Alice. So if I do name dot, it gives me a host of functions I can call using that. Correct? So if I want to check the length of this, I can say name dot length. So how many characters are there in Alice? So what will this display me? Right? So right. So what has happened over here is try to understand. We have made a string. String eventually is an array of characters. In this, there is no need for slash 0, which we had studied in our previous programming. That to finish a string, we have to give slash 0 at end. Slash 0 is not mandatory. Directly, if I say over here, A L I C T. Okay. The starting of this address is 1000. Who is pointing to 1000? who is pointing to 1000. What is the name of the reference? Is it A? What is the reference name who is pointing to 1000? LHS is the reference, RHS is the object. So this is the object which occupies memory. This is just the pointer, which is this is just the reference which is pointing to this object. So which who is pointing to 1000? So on the LHS you have the name of the reference. So who is pointing to 1000? What is the name of the reference? Name. Okay. So when name is pointing, you have 1000 over here, correct? So you can maybe form a table. Okay. So you can form a table. Let me see. So where is name pointing to? Tell me. This is the reference name. Name. 1 second, guys. Okay. So where reference name and this is the address, right? Now this is a very deep thing which I am going to explain you all. So whoever can understand at the first attempt, he or she has a very superior IQ level. So you can give a pat on your back for developing that IQ level. This is a bit deep concept which I'll be explaining. So I'll try my best to sugarcoat it at the very first attempt because this is a bit slippery. Okay, so where is name pointing to now? 1000, 1000, what is there? Alice, right? So let's say we can have the reference name and we can have one mapping of the address to the data. Address, so at address 1000, what is the data? What is the data at address 1000? Alice. Beautiful. So this is a two step. So name is pointing to 1000 and what is that 1000? Alice. Okay. Very good. Yeah. So this should be interesting now. This should be interesting to explain. So this was the code and this is behind the code what is happening, correct? That I have some this data is prepared and I have it is there at some address and the reference name is Alice. Okay. Now if I do like this, that so I cannot access the data directly because it is at some memory address and I don't have access to the memory. So we are given the name of the reference. Okay, because as Java is a high level language. Java is a high level language. So you have high level language, you have mid level language, and you have low level language. Your assembly languages are low level. What are they? Because they directly program the hardware. So in your assembly language, directly you can program the hardware that move the data from this particular memory location. Okay, directly we can copy the data from the memory location from this location into this location. Directly you give instructions to the memory addresses. That is called assembly level language. So directly you control the hardware. So by machine level language, directly you program the hardware. You can say you program the hardware. So these are called low level languages. Then you have mid level languages. It is called mid level because it has high level languages. It is human readable code. The code which we write are human readable. So if I write a code over here, if age is greater than equal to 18, print adult. Can human make sense of this code? What this is doing? But can you make sense of this? What this is doing? So those languages will directly target the hardware and program the hardware called as low level languages. Example of the assembly level language. Those languages which are human readable code like this instructions. Okay, those are called as high level languages. So Java comes under which category? High level language. Then there are few mid level languages such as C, such as C. Because with C you can write the same code, right? You can write this code with C also, and C can also target the hardware. C program, those who have done very deep work in C, whatever C we have studied is tip of the iceberg. Whatever C we have studied, if this is the iceberg and this is C level, only 5 to 10% of the iceberg is above sea level. Remaining 90% of the iceberg is below the sea level. So whatever C we have studied is just tip. We have not even studied this much C. This is the C which we have studied. So the developers who are doing programming in C, they can write program. See, because C gives you a luxury of pointers, right? Now this is a luxury or this is a threat. It's a debatable topic. Okay. So pointers, is it a blessing to a programmer? Okay. तो देवता है कि दानव है पॉइंटर, ये एक बहुत बड़ा आर्ग्यूमेंट है. इज इट अ ब्लेसिंग और इज इट अ कर्स? So you can research that and let me know that is pointers, is usage of pointer, okay, is it a help or a hindrance? Is it a help to the programmer or is it a hindrance for security? Because if you can directly have access to the memory location, you can create havoc in the system. You can manipulate and tamper and try to inject, you know, infectious code, malicious code directly inside the memory. So pointer, try to do your research for today and let me know. Or you can type, why does Java not support pointer like C? Why does Java not support pointers? Okay. Unlike C, you can write like this. Unlike C, why does Java not support pointers? Because C supports pointers. So see what solution, what reply you get from all the forums. Try to browse different forums and check what they pop up. So C is mid-level. Why? Because C can also, with the help of pointers, directly access memory location. What does pointers would do? Remember, malloc and calloc. Remember. So C would come into mid-level languages. So in high-level languages, whatever data is written at memory address, that is all hidden, and we are given a reference. So now we will just play with the reference. Now to which address this is mapped to, and that is least of the programmer's concern. I have got the reference name. Now whenever I want to print Alice, what will I print now? Whenever I want to print Alice, my name is Alice, what will you print? If you want to print my name is Alice, what will you print? To refer Alice, will you go to the memory address or will you directly just use the reference? So our job as programmer is just use the reference within the memory where it is stored, that is least of our concern. So now your name is storing at address 1000. Okay. Oh, very good. Now if I say name equals to Ben, what happens now? What do you think should happen ideally? A new data is created, Ben. So whenever new data will be there, it will be at a new address. So at which address is this? So what is that? 2000 bin. And which is a reference which is pointing to it. So now that reference which was pointing over here has shifted its loyalty, and now it is pointing over here. Now what should happen in the memory over here? What is happening over here? So in the 2000, and what is there 2000 bin, right? What is that 2000 bin? And now where is name pointing to now? 2000. So we will always play with the address. The same logic applies for Java. The same applies for JavaScript also. So now name is pointed to 1000. So now how many data do I have? Two data. And how many reference do I have now? One. So that means there is one data which is not having a reference. So we in mathematics we have a pigeonhole principle. What one? Pigeonhole principle. So let's say there is a tree or there is some building on which there are 100 pigeons. How many pigeons are there? And that building has 99 holes. How many holes? So what does that mean? Means in either one of the 99 holes there will be two pigeons. Correct? So that is called as the pigeonhole. So if I accommodate all the 100 pigeons in these 99 holes, means how many holes will have two pigeons? Only one hole will have two pigeons. That is called as a pigeonhole principle. If you have time, study that. Okay, this is not a research topic. It is just a sort of for the sake of the argument. So here, how many data do I have, and how many reference do I have? So what do you conclude with that? That there is one data which is not having a reference, logically speaking, which is that Alice. So this is termed as garbage in Java. What is this termed as? That data to which no active reference is pointing is termed as garbage. And Java is a automatic garbage collection language. Java is automatic garbage. So what I mean by automatic garbage collection is you just have to take care of initializing the object. If the object is no longer in use, Java will automatically delete that from memory. You just take care of the allocation of memory, deallocation of memory, Java will take care. So how will Java deallocate the memory? As long as there is an active reference to that object, Java will not mark it as garbage. Java will mark all those objects as garbage to which no active reference is pointing. So Alice, there is no active reference, right? So garbage collector works in two phases. How many phases? जैसे चुनाव दो चरणों में होंगे. चुनाव क्या होंगे? What is चुनाव? इलेक्शन. तो चुनाव दो चरणों में होंगे, मतलब एक ग्रामीण और एक शहर के. तो क्या है इसका मीनिंग? चुनाव कितने चरणों में होंगे? पहले चरण में नेता आपके चरण में, और दूसरे चरण में आप नेता के चरणों में। तो ऐसे ही जीसी भी दो फेज में काम करता है, मार्क एंड स्वीप। कौन से दो फेज क्या है? मार्क एंड स्वीप। तो जीसी फर्स्ट फेज में आता है, और ये एक डीमन थ्रेड है, बैकग्राउंड थ्रेड है। जीसी क्या है? जीसी से मुराद, बाय जीसी आई मीन गार्बेज कलेक्टर। जीसी मीन गार्बेज कलेक्टर। तो इट्स अ बैकग्राउंड थ्रेड। जैसे ये क्लॉक है, ये बैकग्राउंड में चल रही है ना, देखो इसका वैल्यू इंक्रीमेंट हो रहा है। एम आई मैन्युअली अपडेटिंग इट? ओके, so whatever there is there, this service is running in the background, so that is called as daemon threads. What are they called? They called as? Those threads which are running in the background are called as what? So garbage collector is a which is running in the background in every millisecond. Okay, when the garbage collector sees that it has now accumulated sufficient amount of memory, then it will come and sweep that memory. So the garbage collector's first assistant will come and mark all those objects which do not have any active reference. So it will mark this as okay. Now when I sweep this, how many bytes will I get free? If one character is of 2 bytes, I'll get 10 bytes. But the garbage collector feels okay, just to go and sweep 10 bytes, it's not making sense. Let's accumulate at least 1000 bytes, then I'll sweep all of them together. It's like the municipal corporation garbage truck. So if I have tea in a disposable cup and I keep it outside and I call the municipality that I have had my tea, please come and pick up this disposable tea cup. Will they come? They will say if a substantial amount of garbage is collected, then you call us, then we'll come. Else we have a scheduled time of coming at morning 9 a.m. That time we will come. So you cannot force the garbage collector. You cannot. You can only request the garbage collector. Sir, I have drank my tea and one cup is lying at my doorstep. Please come and take it. They will say okay, thank you. Okay. So if the garbage collector will only come when there is sufficient amount of memory for it to sweep. So we can explicitly call the, see this is running in the background, right? Internally. If you want to explicitly request the garbage collector, you can do so. But you cannot guarantee that I have requested it, it will come. It will come on its own sweet time. So the garbage collector will come and remove, then sweep this memory, and this can be, these 10 bytes later can be reused by some other object. Okay? Oh, very good. Now, coming back to the, so strings in Java are immutable. String in Java are, what I mean by immutable? What is a mutable? Yes, cannot. Yes, can you give me any real world example of mutable, immutable? The COVID virus was mutable or immutable? Mutable, because they would devise a vaccine and after 2 3 months it would change its state, and they would say now this vaccine is no more working, we'll have to make a new vaccine, right? So it was constantly changing its state. But string in Java is immutable. Once I declare a string, its state cannot change, right? Yeah, so let's discuss that. Hmm. Mark phase. Mark phase, it will come and mark all those objects to which no active reference is pointing. and then the sweep phase will come and revoke all the memory allocated to such objects which are marked. Mark and sweep. Getting it? Yeah, sequentially. First mark, then sweep. There are many algorithms. The most famous one is mark and sweep. Okay. So if you want, you can research on that. Which algorithm does the GC use in Java to free memory? So among all the algorithms, it will show you one of the famous algorithm, mark and sweep. Okay, I make a string name as Alice. Name is pointing to 1000, right? So is now Alice garbage or no? No, right? Because there is active reference pointing to. Very good. Okay. Now, and you will be allotted memory the size of how much you have stored. There will be no extra space. To add into a string, we can use concat. So currently the status of my data is this. Okay. This reference and this data. Data is there in the heap. Data is being there where? Data is there in the which memory? Heap memory. Okay. And the reference is there in the Abdul Shakur stack memory. Okay. There are two memory portions. So try to understand that stack memory and heap memory. Okay. Stack memory and heap memory. Okay. Now if I want to concat into the string, I can use concat. So I said a name dot concat, and if I let's say Alice's father is there Peter. So if I say Alice Peter, now what happens? This, but you cannot. It's an immutable string, no? It's an immutable string. Then how can you modify it? How can you modify that string when you say strings are immutable? So the concept behind this is the modification is not taking place at 1000. The modification is taking at place at a new address 2000. This area is immutable. This area is immutable. 1000 means Alice. Whatever changes are happening at a new address. So first thing first, what it does, it copies all the existing data from the old location. If you are doing concat, so the reason concat is slow, the reason concat is a slow operation because first it will copy all the previous data from the old location to the new location. Okay, so all this will be copied, and then whatever you want to add extra will be added. So if Alice was a string of 1 million characters, how many copy operations were performed? If Alice, this string would have been a string of 1 million characters, then how many copy operations would take place? And after 1 minute, and after that I am adding Peter. So just to add 5 characters, you are copying 1 million characters. Is it making sense? That's why it's a slow process. Now 2000, is it having any reference? So either you can give it a new reference, either you can give it a new reference. Now what is the new reference name? So what will happen over here now? Full name, full name, full. Okay, Alice was pointing to 1000, right? Alice was pointing to 1000, right? So let's bring it nearby so that it becomes easier for us to trace. Alice was pointing to 1000. And now where is full name pointing to? And who is there at 2000? Alice Peter. So when I say strings are immutable, doesn't mean you cannot modify that string. The what I mean by to say that is when it is stored at 1000, at 1000 no changes will happen. If you want to make any changes, you got to copy all the existing content characters to a new location, add whatever you wish to add, and then if you want, you can add a new reference. So where is full name pointing to? 2000. Or if you wish, you could have used the same reference which was pointing to Alice. It's up to you. This also, if you, so what will happen if I use this? What would happen if I would use this? Am I creating a new reference? So what? So name which was pointing to 1000 now will point to, so in this, yeah, in this case, the name which was pointing to 1000 now will point to 2000. Then what will happen to this 1000 now? Is there any active reference pointing to it? So this would be garbage collected. Am I understood? Yes, no, maybe. Yeah. So that is how we use strings. So I come over here, I take Alice, then if I say name dot concat Peter. Now is this correct or is it partially correct? There is no reference to Alice Peter now, right? So if I give a new reference, I have to give a new reference. Okay, now how many objects do I have in memory? So if I want to access Alice, I will use what? Name. And if I want to access Alice Peter, what will I use? Will show. Now I have the luxury of accessing both because I have kept references. I have both Alice and Alice Peter. Correct? If I would have shifted this reference, okay, this was, you all have got this, right? Length you all know now. You can, as it is a non-primitive, you have the luxury of calling methods using non-primitive. So this you know now is giving me Alice and Alice Peter, correct? Now if I copy this and I paste it, and instead of giving a new reference, I reuse the reference. Now what happens? Now is there reference at full name? No reference, right? So if I now, when I had only Alice and I would have shown name, what would it display me? Alice. And now when I added Peter, what will it display me? And now, okay, this will give me Alice, Alice, Peter both, right? Because I'm doing one at a time. And now if I remove this from here and paste it over here, how many times? Twice Alice, Peter, right? Yes, no, maybe. Yeah. So this is what you call as string as immutable, and this is what you say as a reference. So try to get this in your mind clearly. So when I say the reference is pointing to the address and the address holds the data. Okay. Okay. Now this should be interesting. This should be interesting. If I say final string Alice means, now final string Alice means now this name will only point to 1000. It will never point to anything apart from 1000. Final will be on the reference. Okay, what have I said over here? Final string name means, now where is name pointing to? Pointing to one. So when I say final means this reference now in its entire life cycle कयामत तक ये किसी दूसरे रेफरेंस को पॉइंट नहीं कर सकता. Now what is happening over here? It is pointing to 2000, right? So it is showing an error. So it is showing an error over here. It cannot be reassigned. It cannot be. So the final is for the reference, not for the data. ऐसा नहीं कि आप एलिस को चेंज नहीं कर सकते. आप रेफरेंस चेंज करो. आप एलिस को चेंज कर सकते. आप एलिस को चेंज कर सकते हो. देखो एलिस चेंज हो गया ना. तो कंटेंट. हेलो, एम ऑडिबल? तो कंटेंट का फाइनल नहीं होता है, फाइनल होता है रेफरेंस का. अब ये नेम आगे जाके कोई दूसरे एड्रेस को पॉइंट नहीं कर सकता है, बट ये एलिस आगे जाके मॉडिफाई हो सकती है. फाइनल मीन्स कांस्टेंट इन जावा. कांस्टेंट का वाली मॉडिफाई नहीं होता है. तो अभी अगर मैंने एलिस को फाइनल किया, इसका मतलब है कि एलिस में कुछ ऐड नहीं कर सकता. मैं एलिस में ऐड कर सकता हूँ. फाइनल रेफरेंस को लगता है ये नेम अब कोई दूसरे एड्रेस को पॉइंट नहीं करेगा. तो अगर मैं ऐसा करूँ इधर, तो अभी नेम कहाँ पॉइंट कर रहा है जाके? 2000 पे ना. वो उसको अलाउ नहीं करेगा. इज दैट मेकिंग सेंस टू यू ऑल? यस, नो, मे बी. हाँ. So okay, so we'll halt here for today. I need to rush. I have a session at 9 p.m. to attend.